All right, everybody, we're going to call this meeting to order. Is this working?
There we go.
Everybody there?
Hello.
Wake up, wake up. We're going to call this meeting to order, everybody. Brent.
Hello. Earth to everybody.
All right. It's 7 o'clock. We're going to get going. We're going to stand up and do the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. So this is not a formal meeting. It's a working meeting. We're not going to be voting on anything. And what we're going to do is make recommendations for our solar ordinance that we're going to then give to our lawyer, Kyle, who is going to put in the proper legalese and do all the things that he needs to do that so we can vote on it at the next meeting. Make sense? So we're going to have a spot in here for you guys to address us or come up rather and talk. And you can do that now. We'll do one now and we'll discuss some stuff and then we'll do another one at the end of it. Sound fair? All right. Citizens wishing to address the commission may do so.
Except for Brent.
Except for Brent.
Come on, Brent, you get to go twice.
3 minutes? Is this a 3-minute thing?
Right. Yeah.
2.5 for Brent.
Is this one on? Brent Coors, 3709 Burkhart Road. Life's not fair, but appreciate you being fair, Tim. So one of the big ones, I know I've heard several things, right? And this was in one of my last emails while the rezoning was still up for consideration by the board. But Region 2 planning in our master plan says we don't have an airport. One of the glaring deficiencies is why I don't understand why we still spend money for Region 2 planning. But we do have an airport. You can find it. It was referenced a lot throughout the thing, right? In the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act, Section 125.3203, Part 3 says, in addition to the requirements of subsection 1, a zoning ordinance adopted after March 28, 2001 shall be adopted after reasonable consideration of both of the following. Well, A is the environs of any airport within a district. So I understand that, sorry I couldn't be here at the last meeting. I understand Bill was here, talked about Waterloo's ordinance and what they have in place. And I think just one unique characteristic we have here is the airport, which was adjacent to, and again, completely forgotten about by professional planners. And I think that needs to be taken into consideration. You know, it specifically mentions the, adopting it, looking at the approach pattern and an approach plan for that airport. So having something in there about staying within, whatever it is, a mile within that approach zone of the airport would be nice. Really interested to hear what all comes of this, your thoughts based on those other model ordinances. I'm sort of, I know, devil's in the detail, right? Nuance. Don't just make something so strict that they can go to court and say, hey, Your Honor, look, there's no parcel in the township which this ordinance could actually apply to. So they tried to be real coy about their way of saying no. So that's about all I got for right now. Thank you.
So
You sure? You still got a minute left.
yeah.
Seriously,
Maybe I'll use it.
So
No.
do we have a pilot or an airport expert here tonight? I know somebody was in the group.
Yeah,
He's
he
not
hasn't
here.
been here in a while.
He's not
Okay.
here.
Bruce Killer, 9,000 page.
Well,
Um,
is it actually an airport?
Yeah, it's legal.
Okay.
Legally,
Does it? Oh,
yeah.
does it?
But that's not. he's
I've
not-
flown
Okay,
in and out of
yeah,
that airport,
yeah.
so yes, it is
He
an
comes off
airport.
of private property.
Does it have a
He
lounge?
rents that so that's
Does
not-
it have a lounge at the airport? It,
Oh, you live on the airport, yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for
Go
bringing
ahead.
that up, Brent.
That's
Go
not
ahead, Bruce.
costing my time, is it?
Yes.
Okay.
You're out of time. Sit down. No, go ahead.
So, appreciate you guys taking the extra time to get this stuff moving. I just don't want us to lose sight of the real problem that you can't put a solar field on that property. It's already been determined by you guys, by the county of Jackson, but the board has not voted on it. So yes, we want an old solar ordinance. Yes, we want it, I liked what Bill had to say last time we were here. It was some good input there. But I don't want us to lose focus that the real problem is if they can override our zoning controls, none of this really matters because they're not going to pay attention to an ordinance on ground that's not even, there he is, he's late. There's your expert. So I just want to keep a focus on the fact that, you guys have already recommended that you cannot put a solar farm on this property. So now we're writing a solar ordinance to try to protect it in case they take that right away from us, but I don't know what we can do to stiffen that right. They say the MPSC is gonna hopefully give us some support on that, but then the attorney last week said, me and all my cronies think that's gonna change direction.
Just to be clear, we didn't turn the solar farm down, we turned the rezoning down.
Exactly.
for it, okay.
Exactly. And that's why
Put a
we're putting all this
point on that.
emphasis on solar farm, but we
Yeah.
already told them they can't, by law, you can't put a solar farm on this property.
And it-
But we still need a solar ordinance that works for everything. And then, but is there anything we can do to strengthen our zoning controls against 233 and be ready, with, jurisdictional controls? But
We're gonna work on the zoning ordinance, but again, we're a recommending board, right? We're not-
I agree. Yeah. And you guys recommended the right way and
And John ran out the door before we could talk
Ye-
about it.
yeah, yeah. Cause that's the real problem. I mean, we can have the best solar ordinance, but if they can override our zoning laws, then what good is our ordinance gonna do?
Yeah.
So
I
anyways,
mean,
thank you.
best we can do is try to represent the
Yeah.
wants and needs of the township. What do you think?
Amy Stevens, 2805 Great Tower Road. I just wanted to reiterate that I appreciate this special meeting. And I wondered if there was talk last meeting of extending the moratorium to at least the 29th of November when the ordinances are due. Is there any further movement on that?
Township, that's a township.
Oh,
issue,
so the
unfortunately,
board, okay. All right, I don't know if anybody reached out to them or not. But then, going back to like all the things that Bill Richardson had said about the Waterloo Township ordinance, and I think there was another ordinance that was mentioned to look at. Had you been able to access that? I can't remember now which one it is.
Gravel ordinance or what were you talking about? I don't know what you're talking
Oh, let's see. Leone, maybe? Yeah? No?
I don't think
Okay.
so. Mm-mm.
Norville in Sharon Valley Township. They denied the 600-acre gravel pit. And I know somebody was talking about getting a hold of that ordinance to look at it.
Not yet, because we're just talking about the solar now. So.
Okay, all right. And then just going over what I think is pertinent to what Bill was saying, doing yearly renewals. I thought some of the things that were missing were the decommissioning phase and how to dispose of the panels environmentally safe. Glare standards for the airport purposes, escrow enforcements, fees and escrow for local zoning, fees for the yearly renewal, and post-discussion sound and glare, because I think sound needs to be in there as well. But
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else?
Well, we don't want to force you.
George McKenzie, 9838 Page Avenue. Just, first of all, you guys got a tough job, I know that. And I think you kind of heard some different portions of this. Because it'd be really important to thread the needle to, I don't think we're talking about being a CREO at all, and I don't think we want to be. But having an ordinance that is strong enough to protect that if somehow we allow it near residential, that it still protects the residential area, protects health and safety of those folks, as well as tries to protect some of the property values. I don't know how well that's going to do that. Try and do that and with some berms and screening, bigger setbacks. For up to me, I'd tell you make it 500 feet, 12-foot berms with screening and put in walkways. I honestly don't know why a solar developer would mind doing that, because that's would give you recreational and do a lot of great things for the township. I don't think we can write an ordinance that way, or no one's going to want to work with us. So you're going to have to somehow go between, that and, I don't think 40 feet gets it either. So, but we're here to support you and work through that. Thanks.
George, did you read this Waterloo ordinance? We've gone through that one.
Oh, I have not.
Let me look at it real quick. Yeah, if I'm gonna need it back in a little bit. Yeah, thanks. Covered a lot of what you mentioned.
Phil Coker, 10255 Lee Road. Couple of things that were already mentioned. Thanks. With the decommissioning phase. Also with what I would like to see now, whether this is legally or not, that no solar in res or ag. Let's put it in commercial and industrial where it belongs. And we do have commercial and industrial. Let's put it there. The annual reviews, want to see that. The complete access for firefighters, for our firefighters, whoever needs to come in, to make sure that we have access to that and it's not just them doing whatever they think they need to do. That'll do it for me.
Tom Wozniak, with 10,010 page. I'm not sure what the solar thing is at the present time, but one of the things I think we need to take a look at is the research I've done. There's been a lot of indication that these things can leach chemicals and so on and do a lot of damage to the soil. And I'm thinking that there probably ought to be some sort of stipulation in there that this be monitored over the life of these things. They have to pay to come in and do the studies. And maybe we ought to check this whole thing first and then set up a schedule that they might have to comply with and pay for. Because I think the whole secret here is to make this thing not really economically comfortable for these people. They got a lot of money, but they'll think about it. That's just one of my thoughts.
Thank you.
From there.
Anybody else? All right, we'll give you a chance to talk again when we're done discussing, so. All right, where you guys all at? I have read through all of Waterloo's solar ordinance, and there's a lot of good stuff in there that addresses most of the stuff that you guys all talked about, whether it's the berms, the setbacks, the water testing, soil testing, fire access. It touches on all those different items. So my recommendation for you guys is, or for the board, is that we think about adopting this basically word for word, except for, taking out Waterloo and putting in Grass Lake Township. That's also based on the fact that this has already been approved from R2 and from the county. So it's not a CREO, but it's also not totally restrictive that they say we're going to go right to MPSC. It's a workable, incompatible ordinance.
We're gonna need to put language in there about the airport.
Yep, we can do that, sir. Yep.
So
I think that, okay.
No, go ahead. You done, Mark? Was there anything else?
no, that's the main point.
Yeah, I need my paper back.
You were going to talk about batteries, right?
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
so I just want to.
No,
This
Yeah.
little, again,
We will. Yeah.
So I'm kind of along with Tim. I apologize. I left my homework at home. I took it home. I read it. still sitting at home, so I did not bring it with me, but I didn't have too many markups. And the big thing I agree with is the gentleman talking about the water
Yep.
and the monitoring wells testing. But it's got to be pre-tested first to make sure there ain't something there, and then have that in there.
Yeah, that, and this in here, in here, the water, it's a well every 200 feet tested prior to the commissioning of the property. So you have a baseline to go from, and then it's tested every year. And they do pay for, they being whoever the solar company is, are going to pay for all of these yearly checks, tests. They're going to have to come back every year, just like the gravel ordinance has to come in every year to make sure that they're meeting all their, checking all the boxes, that they're doing things the right way. So they're gonna have to be here every year to get it renewed and keep it current.
And I don't remember, Tim, did they talk about third party doing the testing? It's going
Yep.
to be a third party doing the
Yep.
testing.
And if,
That they pay for.
that they pay for.
Right.
Same with the decommissioning, it's not gonna be a resale value of all the, the product that's left in the ground. It's not, what can we get by salvaging it? It's the cost put together by a third party to come in and make the ground what it was before there was any work done to it for solar.
If that's possible.
Yeah, if it's possible.
Absolutely.
Fire chief had to sign off on the one that's out
Yeah,
there.
right.
It goes through Greg Jones, and he signs off that everything's adequate for
Yep.
trucks and getting in there and that kind of stuff.
That's in this ordinance, is
Yeah.
that they have adequate access
In training.
and training. Yeah.
So I was just going to address it because, yeah, it is in there and they talk about safe storage of batteries, going by BESS, whatever. Anyway, I think no batteries on site, period, because they're going to store stuff. It's a whole nother issue with batteries. Yeah, I'm going to, a little bit about me because I like solar, I really do, as long as it's on your house. These solar farms are just ridiculous. It's just government money it's just being wasted, in my personal opinion. Unfortunately, this is what we're dealing with, and I have to help deal with this. This ordinance that Waterloo did is very comprehensive. It covers almost everything I've heard from all of you, which is pretty impressive in itself. Couple things, the battery storage I'd like to go away with, just talk about glare from the system. We'll put something in for the airports, just make sure that's right. I agree. If we could do this just in commercial, that'd be nice. I don't know if we can
We
do
can't.
that. I don't think so because the state's just gonna say, oh, no, that's not right. The other thing talks about 10% of the agricultural property or farmland, no more than 10% could be used for solars. How you calculate that number exactly, I've been scratching my head on a little bit, but sure, it's doable. I mean, because we already have one farm out here, right? It's not a farm, excuse me, power plant. That bothers me too, sorry. It says land for farming is what it says. So, yeah, I think we need to work on that a little bit more too. No more than 10% of this is Waterloo Township agricultural zone acreage. So it's agricultural zone, not farmland necessarily. It is.
Right.
Right. Which is what we were trying to,
Chicken or the egg, right?
we said not to do, but anyway, not to go on that one. What else was there? I didn't have a lot of other highlights in this, other than I just wanted to get my 2 cents in there that I think is something I can't say. All right, but we have to deal with it, unfortunately. So we're going to try to deal with the best we can, and I think they did a good job in dealing with it, and we'll make a few tweaks to it and get it out there. I don't know how to make this available to everybody so they could take a look at it.
I don't know. Somebody got a
Okay.
copy machine? If somebody, my copy's all marked up, but if somebody's got a clean copy, they can do it. And
Yeah, Bill, yeah.
I've been talking with Bill Richardson about cause he's been dealing with this for 20 plus years with these different ordinances, especially on gravel. He's very well versed in all these things. So he and I have been talking for a long time about these two different ordinances. And it is complete, it is thorough, it does try to protect their township. It has been approved, like I said, by the county. So I think it's thorough, I think it's complete. I do want to take the battery storage out of it so that we don't have battery storage in the township. And I'm going to talk to the attorney about the airport restrictions and not having, see, when we went up in the airplane, you know, coming in and out of that airport, if you're flying over a sea of glass and metal, that could be pretty dangerous. So that's something I want to do to protect, you know, your guys' investment, because you guys have been there a long time. So, yeah. Heather, Mark, you guys got anything?
You know, is there anything in here, and I forgive me for not reading as thoroughly as you have, but over the course of the lifetime of this facility, this operation, there's going to be damage from weather, hail, whatever, wind, vandalism, whatever. And then also they drive these, something like like an I-beam into the ground. There's no concrete, there's no support other than just friction holding it in place. And they're going to shift and roll and pitch over time. No, you don't think so?
They will, okay, so, my background besides a lot of things, like I'm a engineer. I'm the guy that's figured out how to do that, and I can tell you that you can drive folks in the ground.
Yeah, that's not an issue, I don't think.
Okay.
Study and
I think my house was built on this.
My point is, we talked about having funds available to clean up after the lifespan of the thing is over. But what about during, let's say 5 years into it or 2 years into it, there's major damage. And it's really expensive to repair. Do we have something in here that's going to cover the cost of that? Because otherwise they might just walk away from it and say it's too costly to repair.
That is actually in here.
That's in
It
there.
is. Yeah, is the thing in there that they have to take care of it within 90 days or something like that to
Okay,
repair everything. Also in there to keep things updated, because obviously this technology changes every day. You know, so.
I just keep thinking like there's a hailstorm, I think it was in Texas.
It was.
Right.
and it wiped out, or nearly wiped out a big solar array. So
That's why they call it intermittent energy.
It's only 15% efficient. I don't know any business that would do anything that's only 15% efficient, but since they're paying for it with your tax dollars, I
You
guess they
didn't
do
read-
whatever they
You
want.
can read Kyle's numbers, it's up to 25%.
Up to 25.
In a laboratory.
Yeah,
Sorry, do they address drain tiles in there?
yes.
Great, yeah. We got-
Well, the bond is in place, whether that company is dissolved or runs away or whatever, that money is held in escrow in a bond. So it's there to take care of things, damage, replacement, all that. So, yeah. This has teeth more than the other, so. That's kind of the standard. Could be. I mean, there's a lot of different arguments you could make, pro, con, whatever, but at the end of the day, the state voted for this, right? Your elected officials voted for this in Lansing, so, what's that? It's just-
Well, exactly.
I mean, we have to come up with something that best represents everyone in this room, in our community, and that's what we're trying to do, regardless of what the state ends up doing. It can be extended,
It can be
it's like, yeah. I don't think you could do that because it's exclusionary, like, you know, Yep,
Yes,
yes, there is, and third-party
Inspections.
reviews and everything, so,
yearly inspections.
yeah.
John, somebody asked a question. You mind if I put you on the spot for just a second about the moratorium, extending it for another time period? Right. Okay, thank you.
because that's all that you can do because of the new Senate bill, so. Yeah. Anybody else on the board have any thoughts?
Not that I can
That,
say.
not, yes, you can say it loud.
Sorry, I'm gonna take my last minute that I'm not.
Oh, sure.
Did I hear correctly that we are now going to add large solar to all of the zoning districts, R1, R2, R3, right?
No,
We're gonna keep that as it is. and
Yeah.
This ordinance for large solar is just going to apply to the districts in which it is applicable. So if somebody wants to put it in an R2 area, they still would have to come.
Rezone it.
Yeah.
Is there any talk about the MPSC is requiring a $2,000 per megawatt development agreement? Can we put that into our local ordinances as well? My understanding is that anything the MPSC requires, we are able to require at the local level. So can we tell them that they need to put up $2,000 per megawatt as a development agreement?
I think I know what you're talking about. The way it was explained to me is I don't think that's a guarantee. So I asked them when we were talking to them previously that don't put that in the slides, don't talk about that unless it's guaranteed money to a township. And I don't have all the facts, but I don't think you could put that in this ordinance.
I thought that was part of the MPSC. that deal
There's-
if they-
there's
if
some
They
of
got
those-
involved in it, I don't know.
I don't know, there was a few, and John might recall, in some of our discussions with that group, that there's some pay up to, or the company may have to pay, and if it's not guaranteed, then I want to hear about it. So I don't remember, dude.
Why couldn't we still put that in our own ordinance?
I'm gonna ask him.
Those numbers aren't in the top of my head. I've seen them a couple times. Maybe I have to look at my paperwork. But they're dictated by the state. That's the problem. If we put them in our ordinance, they would probably have to be right in line with the state.
I'm just trying to get every dollar that's
And
available. If it's
I'll
available.
find out for you. I know that I have that info. I'm not gonna tell you what I call it, but I'm not gonna say that. But it's weird, and that's changing almost weekly. We still haven't got the final from the MPSC on private, or the final rulings on what the law is actually gonna mean to the state. So that's evolving.
It references something about qualifiable expenses too.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's under one or the other.
Here's your pot of money.
I was on one this week. I know somebody brought up the thought about districts. I'm learning that those districts, we're not gonna really be able to control, is what I'm learning. They can put it in R2, they can put it in commercial, they can put it wherever they want. We can dictate in our ordinance, but then that's gonna make it, what's the right word? Where they can immediately go to.
Right.
Yeah, it makes it non-workable, so they just say that.
But that, but it always takes a willing landowner too.
Oh, it always takes a willing landowner.
But to your point, Brent, I will talk to Kyle about those
Yeah,
dollars and see if it's something we can do. Why not?
yeah. We have to have this stuff.
There's something about deer fences and stuff like that. Yeah.
Deer-friendly fences was the only
Yeah.
thing I saw.
I mean, I've heard 1,000 different views on what the wildlife how they're gonna react to it. But I think there is a section on here about, they can't fill a, wetland with materials after digging. I don't know, there's a bunch of stuff to protect wildlife and wetlands and stuff like that. I don't remember the exact wordage, but it's in there. They're not gonna be, yeah, they're not gonna be able to do anything with that, I don't think. I don't think that was included. They'd go around that, I guess, but
So we didn't rezone it.
that was one of my biggest things when we had some meetings with them last year, was the wetlands that are right behind my house that are gonna be impacted if one of this goes in. And their response was, and it's true, they're allowed to recreate wetlands elsewhere. Like if they take 10 acres here, they have to make like 15 acres somewhere else. It could be anywhere in the state basically, but they have to create new wetlands, which doesn't do anybody in this county any good if it's coming out of Grass Lake and going to Dearborn, right? So it is what it is. They can do that. Same with gravel yards. They can do the same thing. But yeah. Right.
You would?
But that place on Page Ave, I think, is a federal wetland, if I'm not mistaken. It's habitat. How do they call that? I mean, they have those all over the country, you know, and you can't do anything in those things without getting your hand slapped. So, but you never know. It's solar, so maybe they got a free pass. I don't think so, but I don't think they can do anything there.
If it's on ag land.
I don't know. You mean like personal homeowner type solar? I have no idea. You guys got plans to build one?
Maybe that's what this is.
Yeah.
What? Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, we can look into that.
We're gonna build it in that gravel pit, is that?
Anybody got anything else?
You're done.
Mhm.
You just made me think of something. What if you were able to buy that land, and then of course you decide you don't want to lease it to the solar companies? Well, yeah. And what happens if other people buy the property that is in question here, it makes me wonder, how far will property owner rights go at that point? In other words, their prime location would not be available because the new landowners don't want to
Want it, yeah.
deal with it.
If I get the
The way-
90 acres in the airport, I think we got enough to shut down that program. but I'm not 100% sure.
That, the law is written that it has to be a willing participant. They can't do eminent domain. So
Right now.
go raid your piggy banks, I guess, and buy up all that land. But because that, strictly speaking, the way, if somebody doesn't want to sell their land and have solar or gravel mine on it for that matter, they can't force you to do it. So
More to your point, George, if I'm gonna build a plant, I'm gonna build a natural gas generated power
there you go.
plant. Something that works all the time.
there you go.
It'll last
Or-
longer.
Or just a 1,000-acre nature reserve. It's a lot cheaper.
Nuclear lasts a lot longer than 20 years.
Hypothetically, anything could happen, but, or not happen.
Landowners,
Yeah. I mean, talking about the growing community, I live on Burkhart Road. If I go Burkhart Road to Lee Road to Wolf Lake Road into town here, I counted, just what I can see from driving, 18 new houses have been built since I moved here in 2015. To your point, yeah, I mean, there's a lot, and that's just on those couple roads. There's a lot of building, people want to live in Grass Lake, so yeah, if you gobble up a bunch of land with solar panels, they're not going to be homes. Mhm.
Well, I think you're kind of preaching to the choir up here.
Yeah.
To say the least, we're with you on that. Absolutely.
And
Which is why we didn't rezone it in the first place.
like I said before, elections have consequences, right?
There has been no enforcement for years and years. What's gonna change in the ordinance to the point where we're actually gonna be able to do something? If they don't wanna follow the ordinances, why even have them if you can't enforce it?
Are you talking about solar or gravel?
Solar, but I'm saying.
Yeah.
With our current ordinances with the gravel pit, apparently nothing's getting done when they're not following what they're supposed to do.
Because the board here has historically been unwilling to spend any money, correct me if I'm wrong, doing any enforcement of any ordinances, not just the gravel ones, but any ordinance.
But we just have to make sure that if we're gonna have ordinances, they need to be enforced.
I agree. And
We do, but it's very small funding. I wish we had the money. I really do. Oh, I just want to look at, with some of the stuff, there's some language in there with, workable about paying X amount of money upfront in accordance to the megawatts that are producing. So there's something in there for that? Maybe that type of situation, okay. Now we got money that we can shift to better enforcement. I'm gonna go off on a little tangent right now. The gentleman sitting right there, yeah, the gentleman right here heard this at our meeting. Our little tiny little office here. Oh, I'm sorry, John Lazinski. I'm not gonna give you my address.
We know where you live.
Okay, so, see, now you threw me off. So we collect out of this little office here, every year, this past year, $13.35 million. Out of that, how much do you think stays in this community for our general fund, which pays for the building, pays our wages, pays for roads, pays for everything that we can contribute? 13 million, I'll call on Heather.
12%.
No, we collect $230,000. Yeah, it's about 3%. Our fire station, they get a lot more. So totally, out of all the property taxes that are paid here, we keep 6%. And the line share, almost 5% goes to the fire station. The rest comes to us. We do get money from the state, and that fluctuates. We get shared revenues, and that's paid through sales taxes. This year we got about, well, we haven't got it all yet, but about $500,000, 530. So totally, that's a little shy of $800,000 to run our government, roads, parks, everything that we have. That's how much we get, and our budget this year is $1.2 million. So we're looking at, and we're probably gonna do, we're gonna do something that everybody else in the county does, except for us in Sandstone Township. We're gonna charge what's called an admin fee. It's 1% on your tax bill. Your tax bill's $10,000, you pay $100 a year more. That'll bring in $133,000 more into our general fund that we can use only for the assessor's office and the treasurer's office. But we play the shell game and pull that money out of those two budgets, and we can use that money for the possibility of taking out a mortgage, some mortgage to build a new building, to put into roads and those type of things. And we're looking at all that right now. But that's how little we get. It's frustrating. If right now we have 2 or 3 assessors, what do they call them when they tribunals, tax tribunals? We have to pay all that money for lawyers and assessors and all that stuff while we collect no money. Our budget just for the assessor's office alone is $93,000 a year. And we pay that out of our taxes, but we only collect $237,000. The rest goes to schools. The lion's share goes to schools, ISD, county, Lifeways, animal control, library's a big one. ISD is huge. I mean, that's a huge amount. I think there are things that are needed, but out of $13.34 million or $5 million, the schools get $9.3 million of that money. It's Grass Lake Schools. We have a couple school houses in our other school districts that we pay. The college. And then it'd be over $3 million goes to the county on some level, or medical care facility and that type of stuff. So when people coming, I get this phone call all the time, roads, you gotta do something about our roads, and I tell them this, $200,000 in tax money would give us 2 miles of chip seal on a road. That's all. What's that? You can't do the engineering for that. So I just say all this because people, you got to pay for it. Out of what?
But to
So-
your point, there is teeth to the enforcement. Things, we
There
can
are.
shut them down, but.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Probably, but when it starts bouncing, I don't want you to have to come visit me in Jackson.
You got a printer, just print some more money.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
wish
that's
we
what they
had
do.
that. Yeah.
So,
So let me
since-
ask you a question, John. When it comes to sewer upgrades, water main upgrades, that's gotta come out of that 200-some thousand dollars?
No, that's out of sewer. We could make that decision, take money out of our general fund and put it towards that, but I don't have a lot of stomach for that because I bet you nobody in this room's on sewer that I'm seeing. I am. You are? Yep. Yep. I have sewer, but very few of you do, and I'd have a hard time saying, you know, we have to borrow 10 million bucks to fix our sewers, which it isn't that high. We might have to get $2 million, but I'd hate to lean on you guys. I saw what it did to Sylvan Township when they had to go that route. So no, we're hoping to do it through fees and whatnot like that.
I have one more question. It was brought up by the constituents out here, where the township is on the rezoning of that property for the solar.
Oh, that's a dead subject. I don't think we ever, I think we voted it down and then we put the moratorium in place. I think that's what my memory goes. Yeah, out there,
They pulled it.
oh, you're right. That's right. Thank you. Too much in my brain.
So you guys
They
never
pulled
voted
it, so
on
it's
it.
a dead issue.
Oh,
They'd have
okay.
to go through the whole process again.
Well, thanks for clearing that up.
Yeah. I'm glad somebody remembered. Tim was on. Tim was
Nope.
on that call. I'm going to give you numbers again. Tim was on the call. I've talked to our state senator and representatives. If they want to push this on us, who pays the price? The local government and its constituents. I've seen it happen in a couple different communities where they recalled the whole board for okaying things. I don't want to be a part of that. And I'm being flat honest, these guys live with it too. We carried that with us constantly. And I'm sure it took years, well, minutes off of life. However, if they really want us to push this and they're going to pay for 1,000 megawatts, they're going to pay $700,000 in PILT money, payment in lieu of taxes. That's what the laws are written, or they can do personal property tax. Personal property tax, you'll collect a ton of money in the first 7 years, but depreciation makes it go away. So when I was looking at it, $700,000 a year, it's a lot of money.
But
But,
it's-
but
it's
we
not.
only get out of that $700,000 a year, and this would be inflated because I didn't take out what would go to Leone. We would get somewhere around $50,000. And the lion's share of that money goes to the fire. We only kept $12,000 out of 700,000. So I was pretty adamant on that phone call too. If they want us to do this, they want us communities to do this, take the lion's share of the money. I hate to say this because there's school teachers in my family and in this room. But what pressure is on the school? Zero. We're taking property out of what could be homes and that type of thing. Why are they getting the vast majority of that money? Why is the county getting the vast majority of that money? There's no pressure on them. Nothing changes. In fact, takes pressure off of them because no subdivisions can be built out there. So there's no plowing roads and fixing roads. It's all here. But even if they took 50% of the money and gave us that, and when I say us, Grass Lake, $350,000, then I can kind of, okay, at least that'll buy us 3 miles of chip seal, or we could use it somewhere. So none of this makes sense to me. I get really aggravated by all this, but I do know that we don't have a choice, is kind of the way it's working out with the state, and we'll just have to see where it goes.
Yeah, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
the township makes no money off of solar to
Yeah.
speak of, and your energy costs are not going to go down.
No.
Very few people make money off of this
This
or
makes so much sense,
benefit
yeah.
from it, and it's not the people in this room. No. Go ahead.
I've been coming here for a year now.
Yeah.
I've lived in this township for 30. I've only been coming here for a year. Tonight, the interaction that we've allowed, straight,
Oh, boy, we'll get big heads.
before it was kind of us against you. Tonight it feels somewhat. There was that undertone, but tonight it seems like you guys are with us,
Yeah.
maybe not lock, stock, and barrel, but you're
Closer than you think.
we're noticing as you did here.
Well, yeah, I hope it's been evident for at least as long as I've been on this board and when I was on the township board that I do care what people think, and I do want to make the best decision for the greater good, for the greater populace. But to John's point, there are strings around our hands in some of these that we have to abide by, and part of it too, we don't know what the end result is going to be yet.
No.
They're not done sorting it out in Lansing yet. So it's kind of like Nancy Pelosi said, pass the bill and then read it and understand what's in it. I mean, that's not far from the truth. Couple more comments.
It's all out on 94.
Yeah, it's basically out on 94, which isn't convenient for it's out on 94 basically, which isn't near a power line, which isn't convenient for the power companies, if that answers your question. And I talked to the lawyer about it with moving our solar to those areas, and it's kind of like too late to do that now because it should have been done in the earlier ordinances, because now it looks my understanding, it looks exclusionary, and we can't do that. So that's what that is about.
I just saw the news last night, PWL raised their rates 10% on electric and utilities for already costs.
Yep.
There's a lot of solar lands. We have a real problem. I don't think we problem with solar, we're certainly not saving on these residents because of the solar lead.
Yeah.
It's all government subsidies. That's, you know.
And they're
government's paying
they're
for it all.
guaranteed 10% profit every year. Guaranteed.
The VAS that you had circled in your ordinance, that stands for battery energy storage system.
Mhm.
That's where they come in and put in batteries.
Right.
Right.
We're gonna take that out.
We're taking that out.
Talk with lawyer,
I don't think we're going to be able
take
to.
it out, then they can go straight to the state.
I think that'd be a
That's why I'm going to talk to the lawyer about it. We want to take it out
Yeah.
if we can.
Just so you're aware, we need
Nope.
140 acres to do several hundred megawatts, which makes that area different. Just one
Okay. Yeah.
So let's say that a gigantic battery storage system catches on fire. All right, and the fire department can't do anything. And so it's spewing tons and tons and tons of chemicals into the air. What happens to everyone who lives in Grass Lake Township? Have to evacuate.
Supposedly it won't go between junk containers, but
Nah.
I Titanic wasn't supposed to sink either. The Titanic wasn't supposed to sink either.
There's an analogy
I mean,
for you. True.
But to your point, those are very real concerns, and I don't know, the powers that be probably don't have them in their backyard.
There's
So-
plenty of examples.
Correct me if
Anything
I'm
else?
wrong on this, but according to my understanding that every kilowatt, megawatt of solar or wind energy produced, consumers or DTE has to have that same amount of megawatts in backup generation. Because those two sources of energy are what? Intermittent. So when they're not producing, they have to be able to cover that load. So again, this, to my argument, this whole thing is a facade. So we're making all this, we're producing all this power anyway through other generation, pistons, turbines, whatever. Why are we wasting our money on solar farms or solar plants? Exactly. No. And guess what? It takes CO2 to make solar panels. Not to mention all the other. stuff.
Anybody else?
Okay.
You,
We're a little late in the game.
it's too late to do that because it's like exclusionary zoning. We can't do that. I don't know if that's
Can I-
possible or not. Go ahead, John.
What I can kind of say, and I think I'm right in saying I've heard it several times, the word I was looking for was incompatible.
Yeah.
That's the word I was looking for. If we put, I'm gonna use setbacks on roads. Our ordinance today says 40 feet from the road. State says 50 feet from the road. If we want to do something workable that we want to work with them instead of them just bypassing us and going to MPSC, we could ask for 100. That's the type of things that make it workable. But if we put, and this is going to be an interesting fine line, if we make it totally incompatible according to what their rule is, they'll totally bypass us and go to right to MPSC. So there's a bit of a juggle we're going to have to do. And I think part of it is, I think these battery storages or places, I think that's part of now 233. That is part of the program. We're going to have to allow it. So I guess to your question, if we make it too hard, it's not going to matter. They're going to go right to MPSC and it's going to end up there anyway. Yeah. Farming, yeah. We can, what do they say? Graze goats. Who the, yeah. Yeah. I mean, we may be able to, but that's above my pay grade. That's lawyer stuff, so. We voted them into office and they
Yeah.
passed the
Elections
laws.
have consequences.
Yeah, yeah, somebody did. But believe me, I don't know why they do half of the stuff they do. 8 days of early voting for 400 people in Jackson that we pay a fortune for because we had to buy new machines and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we have 400 people and I think 8 of them were from Grass Lake. So,
One more.
So-
You had something? Okay.
I have a question for you, John.
yes.
Bill said something, and I'm probably taking a little out of context, but if townships band together and we all use the same language that says something along the lines of, this was passed as agrivoltaics, we're gonna use it as agrivoltaics, and all of us townships are going to put similar language in, isn't that gonna send a message to the state?
I would, yes. But I'm just going to use the example of this law even passing. MTA and townships and a lot of people fought and fought and fought for this not to even take place. And I'm not a politician. Us local people that do this are not politicians, but right above us is the state. Those folks are politicians. They didn't care. They didn't listen to MTA. It was
87% of the state, when they did that poll, said, we do not want
want it.
local control stripped
Yeah.
away for these
Yeah.
citing things.
so they did
And the
these
state
little
said,
things to make it look like
"Oh,
they
well."
listened to us. But
Yeah.
they didn't. So yeah, we could, but what's it going to get us? I don't know.
Um,
That's why I came out here.
It's on
And
their website.
yeah, it should be.
Because I was going to say if it isn't, I can make
Yeah.
a copy.
Dad in the back.
Dad. We write an ordinance that allows large scale solar. And then we get all the signatures to fight the law, right? And there's gonna be a lawsuit, right?
Sure.
Like, everybody's pretty certain that there's going to be, someone's going to sue the
Sure.
state on this, right? It's not gonna go into effect right away.
No.
Probably gonna be a lawsuit. They're probably gonna table it until the lawsuit is done. What if we already write an ordinance that allows it here, and then it ends up getting overturned? Are we then hosed and we have to abide by that ordinance and allow solar in here? Or is there a way we can write an ordinance that says we're not going to allow it unless all of the due process is followed and it still comes out to be the same law? Basically, we ban it with the exception of these go into place if the law actually goes through.
You mean like, so if we pass this ordinance, if the board does, and it goes through the county and everything gets approved, and then someone sues the state because of the Senate bill that passed, and makes that null and void in some type of way, then we could probably come back, in my opinion, revise and amend our ordinance to make it more strict. Because we can't do anything that's more strict than what the SB 233 is.
We deny permits for this while it's being sorted out in court. Like, because it's like, people were saying it's a dead subject. It's not a dead subject. People that were trying to do that, they're still trying to do that. They just haven't brought it before you guys yet.
Well,
It's still gonna happen. There's still one out there.
who wants it out there? What are you talking about?
The solar,
Oh, yeah,
the
but
owners
we,
that were originally
yeah.
involved with it, they still want it out.
sure. We as a board recommended to not rezone it, right? So we would have that ability to do that again at some point, I assume, if we ever revise this ordinance.
So my concern is just for that area, that's residential, but there, and I understand it's farther away from the power lines, but I mean, when you're being subsidized as much as solar's being subsidized, it might make sense and say, okay, we're just gonna move to the east side of Grass Lake then, you know? And there's a lot more agricultural land over on the east side of Grass Lake that we need to protect as well. That's why I was just wondering if there was anything we can build in there, to maybe protect ourselves if the lawsuit goes in on what we believe about acres.
I think they tried to scare us into doing more than we want to do because we're afraid of the worst. What he's saying is we stand up for the worst, and because it's going to be a year maybe before the first case is solved, and if we hold our ground and say, yeah, we'll do it as soon as you guys prove that it's going to pass the sanity test. You guys, like you guys said, look at the vote. How many people didn't want it, and you didn't listen to us. So eventually, that's going to come back around and bite them in the ass. And they want most of these people already, because they already have the money and be gone. They don't care. You know, 5 years from now, they're not going to care. None of these people are going to care. They're going to take the money and run. They're going to sell it to somebody else, and then we're going to be court battle after court battle. And for the first time, though, the other night, the attorney at your other meeting said that 75,000 was a up to 75, not 75 guaranteed. And but so, you know, it's a tough call, but I think we got to hold our principles and we got to hold our ground. And I think Bill's is a good medium of holding our ground and being willing to work with you. But
Yeah.
You know, it's definitely going to be decided in court, and how long that's going to take
can't deal in hypotheticals, really. I mean, I don't know what the future holds. I will talk to the lawyer about it. So,
It's a good question. I mean, we would have more power banding with all the other townships and going to the state and whatever it takes. I mean, once this happens, once we allow solar in, it's a point of no return. It's gonna damage everything. It's gonna be, I mean, very destructive.
Hard to turn around.
And there's no recovery from it.
So what we're talking about here tonight is a workable ordinance that they can choose to do or not to do, and we're keeping our zoning districts the way they are. So to his point, if they want to do it out there, they can't do it through our workable ordinance still. They have to go straight to the state. They're gonna be told by him, we do not have a Creo in place, and they're gonna go, thanks, we don't like your workable, we're going to the state. That's what's gonna happen on the mega development. Now, again, to his point, what this ordinance is really about is about the ones like out on San Francisco Road. Because that is too small to go to the state. And so what could happen in this township is 100 acres at a time could get gobbled up by smaller ones. We're all focused, because we live around it, we're all focused on a 600 acre development. But 100 acre developments will have the same impact, and they don't have the option of going to the state. So those are the ones we're really tonight, talking about our collective interest in making sure that those operate, the ones like out there, are doing things the way we want to see it done. We cannot legally say no, how, no way. We can't write an ordinance that says 1 mile setbacks. Can't do it anymore. They can take us to court and they can sue us over that.
Get all the townships together and go to the state.
There's some townships that are more than willing. People have voted in people that are making it as easy as
Yeah.
possible.
That,
For these things.
to your point, there was, people talk, but really don't have an appetite for a lot of these fights sometimes. And I'll give you an example. Last year, they tried to collect enough signatures to get this on the ballot, and they couldn't collect enough signatures throughout the state. People didn't want to be bothered, whatever the reason, to collect these signatures. Now they're going to try it again and maybe get it to be at a ballot initiative, but it doesn't. I get that, but what I'm saying is, like during COVID, there was a big petition drive, right? And that got signed in a heartbeat, and bazillions of people signed it because they had a lot of pain in their life, right? So the petition drive they had to get this on the ballot, people just didn't feel it enough. So we can talk about townships can do whatever they want, but there, to Brent's point, there are townships that embrace this and want this. So. In a heartbeat.
Every township you talk to says, I don't want this. How many actually bother to get signatures? Probably count on two hands.
Yep. Yep.
They did, the township didn't. Just like the Farm Bureau supported it, the members didn't. The AEC building supported it. The contractors were all armed about it, but they didn't.
All right. Yes. That's a good business. They're very thoughtful.
I've had so many meetings and John has so many meetings. We'd like to do something funner, so September 8th at,
Steve's Ranch. What? All right, guys, we're going to wrap this up. I really appreciate everybody's input. We are going to, as a board, or me, submit this to the lawyer to write it up and put it in legalese, taking note of the airport issues, battery storage. If we can make that go away, probably can't. But with all the notes that we took tonight, submit that to them. And then if you want a copy of this, go to Waterloo's website and you can pick it off of there. So. I guess we need to make a motion to adjourn. No. We've had too much. You want another 3 minutes?
Come on.
You have to wait till we're adjourned.
I make a motion to be adjourned.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. All right.
Hey, everybody, make sure we're talking about voting and elections have consequences. Voting has consequences. Not voting has dire consequences. And it's surprising and shocking to know and learn how many people don't vote. Gun owners that don't vote, Christians that don't vote, landowners that don't vote. If all of these people voted, what? We got to vote or we're going to lose it all. All.
Oh, there's all kinds of figures out there on that. It's 100 years to 400, 500. It's out there. How would you ever know?
Oh, yeah.
This microgrid, Ann Arbor actually has a ballot initiative coming up. They're gonna eminent domain. They're gonna take over DTE's infrastructure within the city. That's what's up for vote in Ann Arbor. So it is a thing.